Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you for making me a part of this prestigious event. And an extra special thank you for having me here today as a speaker for a change, because like she rightly said, I'm a musician by profession, and clearly speaking is not something that I'm used to doing often. Although I did speak at a Kerala startup event a couple of months back at Cochin, and I personally had a wonderful time. I really enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to having an interesting and hopefully a fun session with all of you here today. Before I jump into my topic for today, let me just say that technology is now a huge part of our lives, or maybe even the biggest part of our lives. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but apparently that's how things are looking right now. What I meant by that is, starting from babies to really old people, everybody uses technology at every stage in their lives for various reasons. For instance, let me, for example, my daughter, for instance, she's hardly 2 years old, but she eats her food only if her favorite rhymes are played on YouTube for her. She can hardly speak, but then she's already hooked to technology. So that's how powerful technology is. And slightly older children use technology for study, for education, and then people like you and I, we use it for work, for entertainment, for communication, for fitness, and the older generation use it for healthcare. I mean, these are just a very, very few of the applications of technology in our lives. In my case, I am a musician, and in my case, I should just say that I'm still able to make music independently and put it out there for the people to listen to or watch only because of the technological support that I have. Or I can even say that technology enables me to be a one-man or a one-woman army. Or in even simpler terms, I can just say that technology simply makes my career happen. So that is what I'm going to be talking about more today, the impact of technology on the music industry. I'm sure at least some of us must have come across people, especially elders, who are of the opinion that technology has diluted the quality of music or the quality of the musicians. I'd like to know if there's anybody here among the audience who agrees to that statement, that technology has diluted the quality of music and musicians. Does anybody agree to that? Okay, I don't. You do? You agree to that? You don't? Okay, good. So yes, even I wouldn't agree to that, because I do agree that music today is different, very different from what it used to be, but there is no good music and bad music. There is only one kind of music and not one's kind of music. And see, different doesn't necessarily mean bad. Different can be good, different also. Now, for example, the song Nee Madhupakaru Malarchuriyu Anuraga Paurnami Nee Madhupakaru Malarchuriyu Anuraga Paurnami. Now this is a song that came out in the year, I believe, 1986, but this is an amazing composition. And let's take another example. Akasham pole agale arikattai uyare durato uirincharato. Now this is also an amazing composition that came out very recently. So I think we have enough strong reasons to believe that there is still amazing music that's been created, and there still are supremely talented musicians among us even today. So I'd also like to say that, thanks to technology, music is now a part of our everyday life. I mean, literally. Right from the time you wake up, you're in the shower, you play suitable music in the background when you're brushing your teeth, or when you're driving, when you're working out, when you're working on the system, or dining at a restaurant, or whatever it be that you're doing, in most of the cases, there is a suitable piece of music playing in the background. And this wouldn't have been possible if not for the invention of the phonograph in the year 1877 by Sir Thomas Alva Edison. I'm sure you must have heard of Sir Thomas Alva Edison's invention of the light bulb. I thought it was his only invention, but apparently he has invented a lot of other amazing stuffs also, and phonograph is definitely one of those. This is the first ever recording device. This made recording and reproduction of sounds possible. And can you guess what the first ever recording was? No, I assumed it to be that, but okay, I'll give you I'll give you a clue. It's an English nursery rhyme, starting with a Christian name. No, starting with a Christian name. It's an English nursery rhyme. No. Okay, gender, the other gender. Yes, who said that? Yeah, Mary Had a Little Lamb. Mary Had a Little Lamb was the first ever recording. I don't know if there was a specific reason behind it or it just ended up being recorded during their experiment. But anyway, that was the first ever recording. And from then, I mean, you know, along the way, the recording devices changed from the phonograph to the vinyl records to the cassette tapes to the CDs, and now we are finally here in the online streaming era. So a lot of things changed, but then there were a few things that remained unchanged for the longest time. And one of that is that during the recording of a music piece or a song, all of them associated with that piece of music or all of them participating in that song had to be present in the same recording studio at the same time. So, you know, let's say, for example, there's a singer and the chorus singers and the instrumentalist and the sound engineer and the guitars, everybody, all the musicians, everybody combined, everybody had to be present in the same recording studio at the same time. And to add to the difficulty, it was a single take recording. So basically, it means that it was more or less like a live performance, except that it was done in a closed, acoustically treated studio room and with no audience. So the difficult part is that, let's say, there are 15 people participating in that song, performing the song together, and even if one person makes a single mistake, they will have to do the entire song all over again. And this would go on and on and on until everybody got their portions right and until probably the music director arrived at a satisfactory output. So you can just imagine how exhausting this must have been. And not just that, it was very time consuming also because, you know, when you go for multiple iterations, sometimes recording a single song would go on for days together. So, you know, you can just imagine the amount of planning and coordination and hard work and money that went into recording every song. And not just that, also talking about the technology that was used back then, all the recording hardwares and supporting softwares, and the playback devices were quite obviously not as advanced as the ones that we have today. So this clearly determined the quality of the output also, the output of the recording also. Now coming to the present day recording scenario, it's way different from what it used to be. Quite naturally, with all the advancements in the technological field, it is a lot more faster, efficient, and easier, less complications. So the major change here is that today you have the option to record a song line by line, word by word, or even syllable by syllable. So let's say, for example, I'm recording the national anthem, Jana Gana Mana. So I go, Jana Gana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya He Bharata Bhagya Vidata. I sing the whole song, and I'm at the end, the very end of the national anthem. Jaya He, Jaya He, Jaya He, Jaya 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 He. I slipped the last note, okay? So had it been back then, I would have had to sing the whole national anthem right from the top until I get that note right, or maybe maybe I might end up making a mistake somewhere else in another portion of the song. But today, you can directly go to the very end of the song and just replace the hey with a new hey. I just have to sing, hey. I just have to sing hey, cut it and paste it there and merge it with the rest of the song, and boom, your job is done. So it is way faster. You can just imagine the amount of effort and time and money that you'll end up saving with this sort of a technology, because when you're recording in a commercial studio time will cost you money. So the faster, the better, the more money you save. And see, this doesn't mean that single take recordings are not possible. You can very well do it. How you want to go about recording the entire song is totally up to the singer, the artist performing, or the music director. But it's just that with the technology that we have today, there are easier options that are available. So if you want to make use of it, you can. And now, today, you need not necessarily be present in the same recording studio to record a song. You can literally be anywhere on the globe and still participate in that song. You can just record your portions, send it across. It's as easy as sending an email. You can just send it to the respective sound engineer or music director, and you can make your contributions. Now let's say, for example, I'm composing a song. I want a Western violinist from Japan, and a saxophonist from the US, and a tabla player from North India. I can do that. I can establish a communication with them, either make a phone call or a message, tell them what they're supposed to play, and they can just record and send it over to me. Well, I need not even see the person. It's all done over the internet. And it's even better if they have a home recording setup. They need not even leave their homes. At the comfort of their homes, they can record and send me these parts. So, had it been back then, I don't think I would have even thought of such an idea, because, let's say there's a 30-second saxophone piece to be played in my song, and if that requires me to fly down an artist all the way from the US to Kerala just to play the 30-second piece, I'll be like, no, I can do without it. I can find another locally available musician or replace it with another instrument. But then, thanks to technology, extensive collaboration is possible. I mean, you pick an artist, there is always an option to get it done without personally meeting. So this is another thing that technology enables us to do. And yes, talking about the recording devices, the hardwares and softwares that I use, like you can guess, highly advanced equipments are used today, and that means the sounds and voices are recorded in the best possible quality. And not just that, you record a voice, and there are limitless options to process this particular sound. Now, let's say my voice is being recorded. I can add, these are just very few examples of processing, right? I can add some basic reverb or echo or delay. Is there a sounds person here? Cheta korchuda reverb thero. Hello, hello. Na 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 na. Ooh, na na na. See, it's just a little bit of reverb that's added to my voice, but it already sounds better than what I actually sound. Now, in full light, dry light, full dry. Na 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 na. Okay, there is a little bit of room reverb, but still, I hope you can make out the difference there. Not that I sound bad without it, but I definitely sound better with a little bit of reverb or echo or delay or whatever processing that's done on my voice. So, with a little help from technology, if you can enhance the sounding of an instrument or a voice, why not? Because, it's all about making it sound beautiful, right? So, not just the reverb or delay, you can make a voice sound telephonic or radio-like, or you can reverse a voice. You might not actually conceive it, you might not have an idea of how it will sound ultimately, but then when you reverse and play a voice recording, you can come up with something totally unexpected, yet fun and interesting. So you can do endless experiments with the technology that we have today. So, moving on, now talking about the exposure. that the artists got back then. I mean, without the internet and social media, I'm sure the exposure was very, very limited. I mean, probably the only way to showcase a talent was to perform in front of an audience on stage, or maybe go knocking from door to door asking for opportunities. And I'm sure that must have been difficult for a lot of people. And I believe that's one of the reasons why not many people made it to the limelight back then, because there are only a handful of artists that you can name, from that era. But then, when you look at the case today, I don't know, there are maybe hundreds or 200s of people, talents popping up every morning. So today, with the technology, the social media, Instagram, the world is your stage. See, if you have a little bit of talent, all you need is a phone and an active internet connection, and you can record a song or record a video of your performance, put it out there for the world to watch it, and opportunities come looking for you. You need not go hunting for opportunities today. So that's one way in which technology can help artists. And not just that, talking about the exposure these artists had to other kinds of music, other genre of music. Now, when I spoke to my dad about this, he said, when he was a teenager, the only way he could listen to English songs was when those were played on the radio. So, and not every day, on specific days of the week at a specific time. So basically, he had to make sure that he's in front of the radio at that particular time so that he doesn't miss the, listening to the songs. And again, quite obviously, you don't get to pick and choose. Whatever is being played, you take it or leave it. That was the only possible exposure that they had. And also, yes, cassettes. Again, not all cassettes were locally available in the market. So the kind of exposure that they had to other kinds of music was very limited. But today, thanks to online streaming platforms like Spotify or iTunes or Amazon, you don't even have to type the name of the song. You just go to a certain playlist, and the playlist offers you with a wide variety of songs. So, there's tremendous exposure to all kinds of music. And as an artist, I strongly believe that with more exposure, the more you grow and evolve as an artist, because you learn about new soundings, new techniques, you learn the essence of other kinds of music. And when one day, when you may come up with your own music piece, your own composition, intentionally or unintentionally, you end up using the elements of these different kinds of music that you once listened to into yours. So, blending different styles of music can result in, probably very interesting compositions. Now, I'd like to give you a few examples. This song, नहीं 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 ये बातें हैं पुरानी, कैसे पहेली है ये, कैसे पहेली जिंदगानी, थामा हारों का इसको किसने, हाँ ये तो बहता पानी, कैसे पहेली है ये, कैसे पहेली जिंदगानी. Now this song, except for the lyrics that are in Hindi, everything else about the song is so jazz. The singing style, the choice of instruments, the chord progression, the sounding of the entire song is so much inspired from jazz music. There are so many other songs also which is inspired by jazz music, like Jalindra Wood Kadal. That's another example. And Vanilla, Vanilla, Vanilla. That's another example of a jazz-inspired song. And lately, I can see there are a lot of songs coming out with Spanish inspiration. I mean, I think one perfect example that I can give you is Vaanam tila tilakena bhoomi paraparakana logam kadirani kalamide. Now that song, if you remember, it starts with Spanish lines. Not that any of us understand the meaning of it, but then the sounding of it is just, makes it sound exciting and fun and interesting. So, all this is possible. Blending of different styles is possible only if you're exposed to these different kinds of music. And technology enables this kind of exposure. And moving on, talking about job opportunities, I may be wrong, but then I think back in the day when technology was still in its infancy, it was only a very, very basic support system to the music creation and production process. And I think this is the reason why the music industry back then was dominated by mostly musicians, say people who could sing or play an instrument or compose or write lyrics. So it predominantly consisted of musicians and very, very less technical people. But, when you look at the industry today, I sometimes think that there are more technicians than musicians, because now today the music industry is so technology driven. It has kind of become inevitable, starting from sound engineers, live engineers, recording engineers, mixing engineers, mastering engineers, sound designers. Now you must have heard of Rasul Pukuti. He is a sound designer by profession, but he won an Oscar for sound mixing for the movie Slumdog Millionaire. So winning an award, winning an Oscar for sound mixing, that shows how important and how inevitable technology has become to the music industry. So today, it doesn't matter if you can't sing or play an instrument or compose. If you're technically sound, you can still be a part of this industry and make your contributions. So there are a wide variety, there are so many job opportunities today. It has become a very, very vast industry compared to what it was back then. And moving on to the last point, this I recently came across on the internet when I was doing a little research for today's talk. So during the lockdown period, I watched this Netflix, I think it comes on Netflix. It's called Black Mirror. And has anybody here watched it? The Black Mirror? Okay, have you seen the episode Ashley O? I don't know if that's the title of the episode. Is that the title? Okay. So there's an episode called Ashley O starring Miley Cyrus. So this is a story of a pop star who goes into coma. She goes into coma, and her team of managers and the rest of her team, they try to extract music directly from her brain cells, and they try to extract music directly from her brain cells without her conscious participation in order to keep the music business going. So when I watched it, I thought it's a very far-fetched fantasy, but apparently that's not the case. It is true. It is actually possible. Two people called Nathan and Lenny, if I'm not wrong, so they have developed a technology called neurosphere. So what it does is that it converts the electrical activity in the brain cells to cognitive data, and this data is in turn converted to music notations. So this basically means that it doesn't matter how physically or cognitively impaired you are, you can still have a go at music. So when people say music is inside of you, it is actually true. However physically challenged or disabled you are, the music knowledge, the musicianship is very much intact here. And now thanks to technology, they have found a way to extract it. Yeah, I'm sure you must be knowing better about this, right? So now there's a way to extract it directly from your brain cells. So I think this is, it's an amazing technology. If only this is made more popular and more available to the people with such disabilities, I'm sure it'll be a huge, huge blessing in their lives, right? I mean, there's no other way for them to communicate all this rich knowledge that's in their brain, and finally technology has a solution for that. You can directly, bring all the music out of your brain. So, that clearly means technology is the future of music. So I think those are just a few points that I can, think of right now. And before I wind up, there's one little thing that I'd like to add. So, I'm sure, how many of you have a dishwasher at home? A dishwasher? Nobody? Okay, but I'm sure how it works. I mean, it cleans the dishes, so that means you don't need a pair of human hands to do the dishes. You can just load it in the dishwasher and it does the job for you. So here, a lot of effort, time, and energy is saved, all right? So this is a replacement for these human hands. Technology has found a replacement there. And apparently technology has replacements for human hands of a musician also. So today, even without a person actually playing an instrument, if you want the sound of a violin or a guitar or tabla or mridangam, it is all readily available in the audio editing software. You just have to go to the library, pick and choose the instrument that you want, and even without an actual human playing that instrument, you get all the sounds readily available. So, this is a replacement for human hands, that technology has come up with. Now, in the case of a dishwasher, in that case of replacement, I wouldn't necessarily say that there is human talent that's going waste, because anybody with a pair of healthy hands can clean the dishes. You don't necessarily need that extra talent. But then that's not the case with an instrument. I mean, however healthy your hands are, if you don't have the musicianship, if you don't have the basic pitch and tempo sense, you quite can't play the instrument. So, when technology has a replacement for such human talents, all the talent is going waste. So I think it's criminal. Music is not a planned invention. I hope you know that it was very organically born. People, years back, they used to make sounds to express emotions, joy, sorrow, fear, and all the sounds that they used to make while chopping wood or cutting metal pieces. All these sounds, they realized that there is a certain kind of pattern in these sounds that they were making, and these pattern of sounds gradually evolved to music as we know it today. So quite obviously, music has undergone a lot of changes. Music back then, I'm sure it would have hardly sounded like the music that we have now. But then the only similarity here is that music, the idea behind music was to convey human emotions. And thankfully, at least until today, probably the only thing that technology isn't completely capable of and that we humans are capable of would be human emotions. So I strongly, I wish technology doesn't take over music, that doesn't replace musicians. And I'm sure music needs all the assistance and help that it can get from technology. But then finally, music needs that human touch, because that's what gives music its life. So I hope that doesn't happen. Anyway, I don't know what future has in store for us. So on that note, I'd like to wind up. And thank you so much for your patient listening. I hope I didn't bore you too much